Hello, team players. I'm finally back, and it's getting to be about Halloween, and some of you may know exactly what that means for this channel. But for those of you that don't, I do a Halloween build around this time every year. So let's get into the Skeletal Marauder. So, for Ancestry, of course, we are going with the Skeleton. Because what better one for a Halloween build, right? And we'll be going with the Sturdy Skeleton, as that will give us Die Hard for free, so we can take another general feat instead of that, and it'll give us 10 Ancestry hit points, which is going to be huge for this build. For our class, we'll be going with the Spirit Instinct Barbarian. The starting stats for this build should be Strength 18, Dexterity 12, Constitution 12, Intelligence 8, Wisdom 12, and Charisma 16. For our first Barbarian feat, we're going to be taking Raging Intimidation. After all, what's a Halloween build without being able to frighten people? And Frightened is such a good debuff anyway, that we'd be a fool not to be able to do that while raging. We really don't need to take any feats that'll help us with our damage, because the only one that would really help this build would be Sudden Charge, but once we take a certain general feat, that will not matter. Like, at all. And for our level 1 Ancestry feat, we're going to go with As in Life, So in Death. This will give us Adopted Ancestry as a bonus feat, and we want to pick the Dwarf Ancestry for that because there's one particular Dwarf feat that we're going to want for this build, which I'll get into later in this video. It also means we can go into towns acting like a dwarf and be fine. People will think we're a dwarf as long as our body is completely covered. And we don't even have to make a deception check for that. For level 2, this time I'm going to start with the free archetype because we'll be taking the Undead Master Dedication. This of course will give us our Undead Companion. If we can get it, we'd like something that we can ride. So a large creature, maybe an undead horse or something. But of course I know that won't always be possible. The other thing is, for this build, it's actually okay if our animal companion is mindless. And that's because the other feat we're taking at this level is Moment of Clarity. As in order to command our animal companion, we need to get out of our rage for a little bit. The thing is, even if our animal companion is mindless, at level 4, when we take our next free archetype feat, it's going to be able to repeat our last command every time, even if we don't command it. Which means we only have to command it when we need it to do something else. But of course, that's at level 4. Unfortunately, until then, we are going to have to command our animal companion every turn, if we want to do anything. But of course, that would be true even if we had a regular animal companion that wasn't mine. I'll talk more about this when we get to the first teamwork report. And of course, now we gotta talk about general feats. So first up is of course Canny Acumen for our reflex saves and toughness. We don't need Die Hard because we already get that from our heritage. We will also need Fleet, Incredible Initiative, and Ride. There will be times when we'll want to ride our animal companion into combat. And our animal companion is going to be way faster than us, which is why we don't need anything like Sudden Charge. And of course, Fleet and Incredible Initiative are just so we can be faster. For level 4, we'll be taking Ghost Wrangler. At the end of the day, we are a barbarian, and barbarians love to grapple people. And this will allow us to grapple incorporeal creatures. And with Mature Beastmaster Companion, we're going to make our animal companion a mature animal companion, increasing its stats. And as I said earlier, it also gives our animal companion one action even if we don't command it. But remember, if we choose a mindless animal companion, it can only repeat the last command that we gave it, if we don't command it. For our 5th level Ancestry feat, we're going to want to take Undead Empathy. At the end of the day, it is going to be beneficial for us to be able to recruit undead to our party's cause. And this will allow us to make an impression on undead, even if they're mindless. In addition, these undead may have some information that will help the quests as well. However, you generally need to have no living creatures around in order for them to let you speak. This generally means that the rest of the party is going to have to hide or be in a different room. However, just having this option is always great. For Teamwork Report number 1, there's a couple things we want to do here. The first is, of course, intimidate foes, as even a -1 to everything they try to do is insane. The second thing we want to do is grab opponents and trip them as well. In fact, one of the things we can do with this build is grab a problematic opponent while we're riding our animal companion and take them for a little ride. Force them to deal with us or waste actions trying to get back to the spellcasters and other ranged combatants. But there is one issue with the mindless animal companion. If we do not spend an action commanding it, then if we wanted to do something else, even nothing, we do have to command it to do that. Which means if we do something like ride our animal companion into combat, unless we want to ride it to another enemy on our turn, then we're going to have to command it to do something else. Even if we just want it to sit there and do nothing, which I know is a pain. But unfortunately, that is one of the weaknesses of this build. But the bottom line is, you're going to want to intimidate and use athletics actions on foes, just like you would with a normal barbarian. You're just using it in tandem with your animal companion. But also remember that if you're grabbing a problematic opponent and taking them for a ride on your animal companion, you don't want to go too far. As if you go too far, then you won't have backup from your allies, which is a problem. Okay, so for level 6, we're going to go with Spirit's Interference to help us avoid ranged attacks. Then Companion's Cry, so we can give our animal companion more actions if we need to. Furious Bully will give us a flat bonus to all of our attack action athletics checks. And of course, Incredible Beastmaster Companion will give us a better animal companion. At level 9, it's time for that dwarf ancestry feat I was talking about earlier, Mountain Stoutness. 4 more HP. At level 10, we'll be taking Come and Get Me, so we can get enemies to come after us, making it that much easier for us to grapple them, or trip them if that's a better option. We'll also want to take additional companion here. What we take for our second animal companion here really doesn't matter, as long as it has a good support benefit that can go with the support benefit of our first animal companion. We'll talk about why we need this feat a bit later in this video. Of course, at level 12, one of the problems with Barbarian is that it's hard to deal with flying enemies. So, in order to get a ranged attack, we of course are going to be taking Spirit's Wrath. That will allow us to hit flying enemies up to 120 feet away. And of course, also at this level, we'll be taking their Master's Call. This is why we need a second animal companion, because now we can have 2 support benefits at the same time. Only for up to 1 round, but still pretty nice. For our level 13 ancestry feat, we're going to be taking Skeleton Commander. This gives us the Create Undead Ritual, but only for skeletons. This means that we can have up to 4 undead minions at one time. We can use these for scouting ahead, or if we really need to, we can use all 3 of our actions on our turn to command these undead to perhaps get enemies into areas that we want them to be in. For example, into a line for a lightning bolt, or maybe into a large group that the druid can fireball. Overall, this is just a good way of attacking without actually getting into combat. After that, we've got Vengeful Strike, allowing us to attack as a reaction if we get hit while under the effects of Come and Get Me. Then, of course, we need our animal companions to be specialized, so Specialized Beastmaster Companion will let us do that. Then Furious Grab will let us grab foes after we attack with no multiple attack penalty. And we're pretty much done with the Undead Master archetype, so we're going to need to take a second dedication here with the pirate dedication. This will essentially give us sudden charge if we're disembarking from a boat. But that's not really important here. What's important is the feats we can take now that we've taken the dedication. For our last ancestry feat for this build, we're going to be taking Necromantic Air. This will let us cast Harm as a 6th level Divine Innate spell once per hour. So we can heal our undead minions, or more importantly, ourselves. Because in most cases, we're not going to be able to rely on living allies to heal us. So we need a way to heal ourselves. It's just a shame that we can't take this until level 17. There really isn't a great feat we can take on the non-free archetype side for this build, so we're just going to take Brutal Critical, allowing us to do even more damage when we critically hit. And Broadside Buckos will make it somewhat easier for us to get the flat-footed condition on enemies when grappling and tripping doesn't work. Okay, for level 20, we're going to take Unstoppable Juggernaut. That will give us resistance and even more raging resistance, which of course will allow us to stay up for longer and help our team more. And the final feat for this build is going to be Walk the Plank. This allows us to demoralize an opponent, and on a success, we can move them wherever we want. Thus, this is another way that we can get enemies away from our spellcaster buddies. For Teamwork Report number 2, now we have a pretty good ranged option, so flying enemies are no longer an issue for us. We also can have up to 2 support benefits at one time as well. Granted, only for a round, but still. We're also much better with our athletics skill checks, especially grabbing people, which we want to do to a lot of our enemies, especially the problematic ones. But the real difference at this level is that Create Undead ritual, because we can use the undead we gain from that ritual to scout ahead, but more importantly, so we can surround our enemies, making it that much harder for them to get to our ranged buddies. Yes, we would have to use all of our actions to command these undead. However, sometimes that is going to be worth it, as enemies are way stronger than party members in this game, so anything we can do to force them to do something other than attack us or our allies is always going to be good. But honestly, even if they attack us, we have the hit points to take it, big time, whereas our allies might not. Anyway, hopefully when this video comes out, I'll have access to the remaster. If that's the case, I will definitely be working on videos for that. However, for this week, I've got a couple videos in mind already. But they're mostly going to be for potential viewers who are just getting into tabletop role-playing games. I need the week to go through the remaster and decide what I want to cover first. But I figured since the remaster is coming out anyway, I might as well do some videos for potential new viewers, as well as viewers that are just getting into tabletop role-playing games and aren't entirely sure what they're getting into. But if you guys are looking forward to remaster videos, let me know by leaving a like on this video. You can also subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to learn more about the Undead Master archetype, you can check out this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.